in order to create a campaign, or not a campaign, a spell. Let's do one we haven't done. Feats. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go to GitHub to our wiki, and I'm going to find the page on Feat, and I'm going to see this list of things that a Feat has, and then I'm going to pull up my terminal window, which I'm going to pull over here. No, correction. I'm not going to leave it there because that. Actually, what I want is a new tab, and I want it kind of small and short so we can see both this and the other at the same time. Yeah, that works. So now I'm going to do a Rails generate. Now, if I just do a Rails generate here, it'll tell me everything that it knows how to do. And so if I go up here to the beginning, it says, you know, there's generator options. Rails knows about these. Active record, can, copy, cucumber, devise. So there's a bunch of generation stuff that it knows how to do. But the one I want to do is this one. So I'm wanting to find out what that one does. So I'm just going to type that and it'll tell me about it. Okay, so if I can find where my command was again, which was apparently right up here. So here's what I entered. So Rails generate scaffolds, the name and a field type and an index, if you want it indexed. And there's some options here. I'm going to ignore some more options there that I'm also going to ignore. And so I'm just going to go here. Now, if you want to figure out what field types you're looking for, Rails create table types, and so this is the guide. Supporting type modifiers. These are the modifiers, but we have the types in there somewhere too. Maybe. Okay, or maybe not. Getting a table. Alright, so this talks about this stuff here, but what I want is the actual listings of table definitions. Let's try this. Here we go. Okay. So column, and you have these types that you have available to us. Okay. Primary key, string, text, integer, float, decimal, date, time, timestamp. Time, date, binary, and Boolean. The most important ones that we're going to be using typically are string, text, integer, float. So we look at our model, and so we say Rails generate scaffold. Feat has a name, which is a string. It can be described by a desk, which is going to make a text. It's classified by a Feats type. Let's back up a minute. Let's go Feats type, which is going to have a name, which is a string, and a type, which is going to have simple. We can go back and add to it later. And then I'm going to go back to just a feat. And then here I'm going to say this is going to reference, okay, field name first, type second. So references feats type. Now you notice before I did the feat type kind of with the first letter of the word capitalized, kind of a, I forget what that's called. And here I'm lowercasing it with this underscore between it. Class names use the capitalization, field names use the underscore. So references feat type, and just to make sure I want that indexed. And an effect or collection of modifiers. So I'm going to say modifiers. I'm just going to call that a text as well, so we can just have some form of typing in modifiers. And I'm thinking as a list of things. Okay, so what else we got? We may have 0 more prerequisites. Ooh. And prerequisites. So we have a prerequisite. Prerequisites.
Is it usable or not?
I'm just going to make a big old text field for us to be able to type those in as well, because there's a variety of things, and I can change the encoding for what is in the text field later. But you know, we're going to need those as a benefit. What the feat enables the character to do. To me, this sounds like a description part, but we might want to identify the benefit. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there because we have it in our. And then again as a text. I think this one's going to be more like a description type field, because the modifiers are going to actually say what the change is in the code. You have a lack of a benefit. I'm going to leave that in the benefit field, and may have additional facts about the feat. That might help you decide. Facts. That sounds like description stuff to me. I'm not sure we care, other than having it in the description. Okay. Prerequisites. Yeah, I think we're good. So we're just going to hit Enter key. And you'll notice that it makes these whole bunches of stuff. So Rails, because it's being nice to us, is generating a bunch of stuff. It generates a migration, where we can further refine the creation of the table. It creates a model for us under models. It creates an RSpec test there, and a factory. These are things we'll use in testing. It creates it puts a route in for us in the route controller. It creates a controller for us. It gives us some basic views. It gives us tests for those views. It some other stuff there. It creates a helper for us, and that's where we can have functions that we can add to a view, where if the code gets too complicated in a view and you say, I want a function for this, you can put that function in helpers. And again, test for those. Okay, these JBuilders, these are a way we can have an API so that somebody can get if we're making like a Android app or something in the future, they'll be able to grab a JSON document view of our data. And then it creates a JavaScript shorthand, CSS, which apparently is writing CSS, which is not my preferred thing, and it has that identical. I should probably shut some of those off, but so it generates all those things for us. And so now I can go and I look at config routes, and I have feats and feat types. Feats controller, and I have it set so it automatically asks to authenticate user, build feat. For the create, it has some load and authorize resource stuff set up, and this load and authorize resource invokes can, and that means that one thing we do need to do by hand, under app models, there is ability, and this is where the abilities are defined for who can do what. And so what I want to do is say if user, I'll put that in later. We'll call it an admin. So can manage feats and feat types.
I think feats is actually singular.
Okay, so a singular versus plural. Rails in its configuration by convention, whether a verb or whether a noun is singular or plural has an effect, because if we look at the config routes, you'll notice here that they're plural, because the resources plural says I'm going to have more than one thing here. This is a collection of things, therefore it's plural. Our model is singular, because when we have an instance of the model, there's only one thing that we're talking about at that point. Controller is plural, because again, the controller says I'm dealing with the collection at this point. And it's not as obvious. Index, feats, index is going to have more than one, which means that the resource in the index, the resource they're going to be playing with is feats. It's pluralized because there's more than one. Feats.each do feat is going to take this next section and it's going to repeat that for every feat in the feats. Okay? And so here we have some that is a URL helper that says, okay, give me the URL or the address, the feat path for that particular feat. That's the, but because it's singular, I'm dealing with one thing. The index would be the feats index, and you wouldn't have to pass it anything because you're talking about all of them. And so the singular versus plural is an important thing in Rails, and it shows up a lot. The mnemonic is, am I dealing with more than one or not? And if you're wondering, you can just take a look, try it, and you know, it all works. So what were we talking about before we got to the feats?
Tackling a table.
Table.
So we were talking to the table.
Okay, so db migrate, in there we have this file, that defines and I got this backwards. I don't know how I got it backwards again, but I did. So I'm going to go back here, and this is probably really good to do anyway. But I'm going to remove that because I made a mistake. There we go, references. I got it backwards because feat type references, and I got it backwards. References is the type. Special type of type that says.
We're still deleting it.
Oh, huh. Okay, so I'm still deleting it. Oops. I really want to generate it. The G, little g, is a shorthand for generate. And now when I go back here, oops, that one's gone now. So, but it still should be the last one. In V, I'm using a shift tab to pull up the last. And so now this is done right. So references, feat type index true. That'll create an index for the feat type. This will actually be feat type ID when it actually gets in the database. But that also says that up in the model, I have this belongs to feat type. I can also go feat type, let's say the feat type has many feats. And that defines the relationship between feat and feat type. And that's all it takes. The belongs to and has many. That's one type. The other one is a many to many, and we'll get to that a different time. But there, I've got a relationship between those two. And so that's there. So that defines that. If I wanted to make any changes here, I could. For example, I could say that do not allow nulls for the name, and I probably ought to do that. The feat types as well. Now I go back here. I'm happy with it. Break db migrate. That will call the two migrations, and apparently I have a bug. Oh, I got that wrong too. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. So let me go fix that. Feat type. I have to delete that. Which means I'm going to go change that again. Because it should be description as a text. Generate. And then I need to db migrate feat types. By the way, that right there is a lambda. T is the argument that is passed into the lambda. The do and block defines a block that is being passed to create table. So yes, lambdas are everywhere. So now let's try those migrations again. Make db migrate. And I still have a bug. If I remember desk 4. Oh, looks like I did the create feats. So I need to delete this one because I did the same boneheaded move there. Again. This is the description. It should be a text.
Deleting it again.
Oops. Yeah. See, you don't have to be perfect.
As long as there's an undo button.
There's an undo button. Okay, so let's get back there. So okay, so that's that. Now I'm try my migrations again. Now we have a happy migrations.
Oh, good.
So that updated the database. And now that I've done all that, and I've already updated my abilities to give the user, the admin user, access rights. So I can go to my localhost 3000, go up here and say Feats types. And apparently I'm not authorized, which is kind of strange. Let's see if I can't figure that out. User Haswell admin. Feat types. Oh, huh. I think maybe this requires it to be. Okay. So this is the class name for the model. Can manage users and roles. That I probably have in there wrong, but we'll find out later. So let's try reloading that. Ah, now I'm happy. No, I'm not happy yet. Feats. Now I have a listing of feats and feat types. Okay, so now I'm in feat types. I have this. I can add. I have a description field and a name. So if I have a name fight of a
Jack of all trades.
Marshall feat. Oh, yeah. So fighters. Trained combat fights. Just for kicks and giggles. Look up the online feats, types of feats. Fighter bonus feats. Actually, I'm going to do this one because it's so much more fun. So fighter bonus feats. And then I'm just going to grab that text. And spot that right there. And create that. And it was successfully created. Now, we have this funny string right here. It's like, oh, feat type doesn't have a thingy. So that models feat type def2s, which is the when it converts something to a string. And we reload that. And, feat type fighter bonus feats. Okay. So that's that. And if we go back to feats, I can create a feat. In my feat type, I can make that a fighter bonus feat. Go over here and say blind fight. And I don't know, I can't remember what that general means. Probably a subtype of feat. So, blind fight. I'm going to go back here and paste that in the description. I'm not going to worry about the other fields right now. I did want to grab that so you can pick it up to see. So, one thing that I do like to do is we can use a markup shorthand called Markdown, I believe.
What GitHub uses. Or
Yeah.
one of them that GitHub uses.
It's one of the ones that GitHub uses. And so we say, okay, we've got that, and we're going to create feat. Oh, and look, we have the funny name again. So, model feat. And okay, so we have that. We reload that, and that feat blind fight. And then we say, oh, this looks funny. So use feats show, and under desk, I would rather have this just be interpreted as a. Oh, I need to put this. Okay, so that turned purple on me. And then inside that, I'm going to go like that. And then when I reload that, oh look, it's all pretty. Now, that feat type right here got put below, which is nice, but I kind of want that above the markdown. And I'd really like to be able to have a show that as a link instead of just a normal. Now I have that as a link. So I can go there. Now here, feat types show. What I can do here, again, I want this to be in using a markdown. Like that. And then I want to go, I want to make a list of lists. I want that list to be for the oh look, another lambda. And now I have a link back and forth. So that is some basics. Now I'm done over here. I have things happy where I want them to be. Get status. I have a bunch of status in here. Untracked files. Stuff not staged. Git add. Git status. Now all these things are marked as changes to be committed. Git commit dash am. Adding feats. Now I've committed all my changes to my local repository. I'm on my branch, that's just me. But now I can do a git push, and that will push the changes I made on my local copy up to the copy on GitHub. And that's all packaged together and say those are the changes I just